In today's video, I'm going to share with you a checklist that will help you have a tough conversation with confidence so that you and the other person can come out of the other side unscathed. Before we move any further on, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can get a new video from me every Friday. I'm Hayley Lewis. I'm a business psychologist who has helped thousands of managers and leaders over the years grow their confidence, motivate their teams and go on to be the best version of themselves at work and in their careers. As Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, and I think this goes to the very heart of what makes a difficult conversation go well or make a bad situation worse. So the following list of things to do are a combination of my own battle-scarred experience of having lots of difficult conversations, along with the experiences of many of the leaders that I've coached and supported over the years. So we're going to break this down into 3 chunks. So the first is before the meeting. So before you even go through that door and sit down with that person, or it might be more than one person, is before. So number 1 is be really clear about the outcome you want to achieve. If you're not clear about that before you go in, you could end up in a very different place, and in some instances a worse place. So be really clear about what success looks like. So you get to the end of that half-hour meeting, what would success look like? And then number 2, once you're clear on the outcome, then think about how you need to behave in order to achieve that outcome. So that will help you be far more intentional and get in the right mindset to achieve the outcome that you want. Number 3, write down the key points that you want to make, and the emphasis, look, is on key, not a long list of things. It can be a stressful situation, and it means that you can forget stuff because you're kind of feeling that stress. So writing it down can really help. Also, by writing down the key stuff, stops it turning into almost machine gun fire, because you kind of build up a head of steam, and then the other person just feels like it's just like another thing and another thing and another thing, and again that can make a bad situation worse. So keep it to the key things and write them down. Number 4 is no surprises. So show respect for the other person or the other people before you've even walked through the door, by letting them know the purpose of the meeting so they can prepare too. Because look, if you don't do that, they're going to feel hijacked, and then don't be surprised if they kind of lash out and kind of hit back at you. So no surprises. Number 5 is make sure you have some time before the meeting to get your head in the right space, even if it's just for 5 minutes. So I work with lots of bosses who have back-to-back meetings where they don't even have time for lunch. Sometimes they don't even have time to go to the loo. And so when you're kind of going from meeting to meeting, and so you might end up running late, and then it has a knock-on effect. If you go from one meeting and straight into maybe this difficult conversation, your head's not going to be in the right space. So even just taking 5 minutes out, go for a walk around the block, or do some kind of breathing exercises, can kind of get you in that right mindset. So the second chunk is during the meeting itself. So during the meeting itself, first and foremost, agree some ground rules. Contract with each other how you will ensure, how both of you will ensure the meeting is going to go well. It's a shared responsibility. So tip number 2 is make it a two-way conversation. Don't just kind of make it's kind of all your agenda, and you're launching into a diatribe at the other person, and they don't even have time to respond. So make it a two-way conversation. Ask questions in the genuine spirit of inquiry and curiosity, where you genuinely want to find out the other person's perspective on things, as opposed to being a grand inquisitor, where the person feels in the spotlight and therefore kind of feels a bit threatened. So the third tip is focus on the problem, don't make it personal. So try and focus both of your attention on the problem. So for example, you might have a member of staff who is consistently delivering kind of quite poor quality work, rather than kind of accusing them of being rubbish and kind of ineffective and unable to do their jobs. Turn both of your attention to the problem, which is poor quality work, which is kind of impacting maybe the customer experience at the end. Try and find out what's getting in the way for them, and how can you solve that together. It might be they need more time, for example, to do the work than you're giving them. So make it about the problem, don't make it about the person. The fourth tip during the meeting is challenge rudeness or aggression in the moment. And this is something that so many managers I work with don't do, and yet it's rich information, it's there in your face. So if somebody kind of is being inappropriate and behaving in a rude or aggressive manner, challenge in the moment, using the ground rules that you both created as a framework, as a legitimate framework within which to challenge them. It's, as I say, it's rich information in the moment, use it. And then the fifth tip I have for during the meeting is, if things get heated, and they can do, because it can get emotional, don't be afraid to take a kind of a time out. So take a 5-minute break, get both of you a cup of tea or coffee or water, and look, if the other person cries, which sometimes happens, give them some space. They're going to be embarrassed, or they might feel embarrassed. Give them some space, take a step out, go and get some tissues, go and get both of you a cup of tea. Again, that's a compassionate act. It's okay to give yourselves a bit of space rather than just keep ploughing on and just making it feel more stressful for both of you. And then the third element, the third chunk, is after the meeting, and this is where I see a lot of bosses fall down. So because they have that adrenaline rush, they've done this difficult thing, they leave the meeting and they just want to forget all about it. But that's a mistake. So there's two bits to this. So there's immediately after the meeting. So the moment you leave the room, please, please, please do not go to the next meeting. Don't go back to your desk. Go and get some space. Go for a walk around the block. Maybe go and get a cup of tea. Go and listen to some music. Get some psychological and physical distance before doing your next thing, so you can kind of reacclimatise. And then the second thing is a game changer. So 24 hours later, take some time to reflect on how you feel it went. So it only needs to take 10 minutes, but write down your kind of lessons that you took from having the difficult conversation. So what did you do well? What would you do differently if you were to do the same thing again? And what advice would you give to kind of fellow managers if they were going through something like this? Taking that time to reflect helps embed your learning and is only going to help you be a better boss. So why not grab my free guide, which will give you a framework to have powerful conversations, and it will transform your relationships in the workplace forever. So many managers and leaders I've worked with who've used this framework have said it's absolutely transformed their working relationships. So make sure you download a copy. And look, I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it valuable. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit the bell to subscribe and get the good stuff every Friday. And if you've got any thoughts on the tips I've given today, you know, was there anything that particularly resonated or helped, why not write it in the comments box below. And again, as I've said in previous videos, you have a lot of wisdom to share. So if there are tips I haven't given that you think would help other people have better difficult conversations, why not give them in the comments box below so that other people can learn from your wisdom. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.